It was a dark time that still haunts many Americans. You had to be there, live through it to understand it all. Crime up double digits every year. Vigilante gangs were patrolling city streets. And hit movies like Death Wish, portraying a metropolis in chaos. It was New York in the 1970s, but New York provided a snapshot of much of the country. The nation's largest city, New York, was gripped by a wave of murders and felonies that now marks a generational divide as Americans debate our criminal justice system and even the very purpose of a police force. In New York in the 70s and the 80s, citizens actually kept mugging money in their wallets. They avoided subways at night and side streets as often as possible. By 1979, there were more than 250 felonies a week on the subways. And 1980 was the highest overall New York crime rate year on record. The murder rate more than 3 times what it is today. The census that year revealed the city had lost nearly 1 million residents in a decade. On October 29, 1975, in a speech before the National Press Club, President Gerald Ford gave a speech denying federal assistance to spare New York from bankruptcy. The front page of the Daily News the next day read, "Ford to city, drop dead." Of course, President Ford never explicitly said those words, and yet those words, arguably the essence of his remarks that day, summed up that now infamous and immortal headline. Ford later acknowledged that headline, that very moment, likely cost him the presidency the following year. Jimmy Carter would narrowly carry New York the following year. President Carter, by the way, would not fare much better. History has shown us that the left's approach to dealing with crime has never done our cities a single bit of good. Right now, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, California Governor Gavin Newsom, the leadership on the left has collectively told American cities to drop dead. You know, in New York City in 1991, crime started to fall, and it had fallen each year ever since then, thanks to the outstanding leadership of Mayor Rudy Giuliani. It fell to record lows in New York and nearly every other major metropolitan area. But that also means that until now, most people under the age of 40 had no idea what it's like to exist inside a crime wave, pervasive, relentless crime that distorts every corner of civil life, civic life. I think it's true that for much of the country until now, more than 30 people lost their lives across America over this Memorial Day weekend. 30 people, dozens of victims, including 13 in Philadelphia alone, lost their lives with violence spiraling across the nation. The city of brotherly love was anything but over the holiday weekend with a staggering body count, including a father and his 9-year-old son. In another incident early Monday, 2 women were killed and a 14-year-old child injured in a shooting at an outdoor hookah smoking party. And the violence there pushes Philadelphia past 200 homicides before the start of summer. Chicago saw at least 6 people killed, another 34 injured. In one incident, a 69-year-old man was killed by a suspect who later barricaded himself in an abandoned building during a 90-minute standoff with a Chicago SWAT team. In New York, 2 people were fatally shot in separate Brooklyn incidents over the weekend, according to cops. There were also gunshot fatalities in cities including Tampa, Memphis, Fresno, and Atlanta. In Los Angeles, where gangs have declared war on cities and the citizens, thieves empty a store shelves of Sephora in Los Angeles, in a mall, as stunned shoppers just stand by and watch in awe. For nearly a minute, these 3 thugs just grabbed whatever they wanted and stuffed them into the items into black trash bags. You know, there's a lot of talk among Democrats. There are questions about what the real root cause is. Well, one of their favorite phrases, by the way, what the real reason is behind the rampant crime in America, the pandemic being one of them. And the other one, of course, is guns, which is the excuse the left uses to come after your guns every single time. They don't even read the Second Amendment. The root cause is simple. It's a lack of strong leadership in reality. In our neighboring country, Canada, on Monday, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced a move to freeze the sale of transfer of guns in the country as part of a strict gun control proposal introduced by his government. The proposal would also create a new red flag law, which would allow a court to prohibit people deemed a threat from owning firearms and allow the government to take away firearm licenses for individuals who commit domestic violence or criminal harassment. Does that sound familiar? Because it is. It's useless in most cases. The red flag laws are only as good as the evidence that causes somebody, often police, to invoke them, meaning that those who intend to commit crimes using guns often fly well under the radar. And as we've seen in recent weeks, even those that are a threat seem to fall through the cracks too. The only thing the left knows about guns is how to use them for political advantage. That's what Justin Trudeau did on Monday, and it's what the left does in exploiting every single mass shooting in our country. To use Justin Trudeau as an example, because it fits so well with the repeated failures of the left on blue cities and crime, his record on violent crime has been a total failure, and his firearms legislation is a distraction. He's essentially smuggled in our very own culture war for his own political gain. On Thursday this week, the House Judiciary Committee will introduce a package of 8 bills for a floor vote next week. It includes legislation to raise the age to purchase semi-automatic weapons to 21 and ban the sale of new high-capacity magazines. But I ask these so-called lawmakers this. Americans have been terrorized on our city streets for months and months. Where are the bills to reinforce protections of our citizens? Where's the outrage over lenient district attorneys across the country that allow repeated offenders, blatant violent criminals back on the streets to commit more crimes over and over again? We can't let political theater distract us from the fact that the left is telling American cities to drop dead while they use gun control in a major midterm election year to distract from their failures. We're at solutions. Where are the solutions on lowering gas prices? I've heard none. Where are the solutions on lowering the price of groceries for struggling Americans? I've heard none. And where are the solutions on tackling record crime in every single city in America? I've heard none. All I hear is a proverbial drop dead to every single American over and over again. Back to you, Joe.